Welcome. Thank you all so very, very much for coming. I've got to tell you, for this being the first town hall that we will be holding moving forward, it really warms our hearts just to see everyone here, the interest in coming in just to get a grasp of what's going on around the campus and ask any questions that you may have for our senior leaders. So thank you all so very much for coming. We can certainly bring some additional seats in if we need it. And housekeeping, if anyone needs a restroom, they are right behind us on this hallway here. So for those of you who do not know me, I am Christy Novak. I am the president of the Staff Senate. And over the last year and a half, the Faculty Senate and the Staff Senate have really been working on forging a stronger bond, a stronger collaboration just with the various projects and initiatives that we're involved in, some apart, some independently, but now we're really working cohesively here. And the point of bringing everyone together today was just to make the faculty and staff have access, make available a lot of the senior leadership that we meet with on a monthly or quarterly basis. We get all of these wonderful updates, and we're able to lend our voice and advocate for the faculty and staff across campus, but oftentimes that communication does not always trickle down to everyone else working within each of the schools and each of the departments. So now that we see how much interest there is and how much success we have so far in this event, I'm really hoping that this becomes something that we can maybe do every 6 months. There's certainly a lot of other individuals that we would love to bring up here. For example, Jennifer Lichman from the President's Office, Peter Murray and SITS, who will actually be at the Staff Senate February meeting. So, again, we really hope that with this participation, we can keep this going and make sure that everyone stays informed and has a voice on a lot of the important decisions that impact our work here. So before we get started, can I just get a quick raise of hands? Raise your hand if you are faculty. Fantastic. And if you are staff? Awesome. All right. We just wanted to get an idea of who is here. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and introduce our moderator for the event, Mark Emmel, who is the Director of Organization and Employee Development. Mark has been a wonderful partner for both of the Senates. He actually helped host a retreat that the Staff Senate did at the beginning of this term just to get to know each other and our strengths and weaknesses and how we could work together. So Mark is going to be leading the event. We'll start with the panel discussion, open it up for Q&A, and then we will open the doors for the resource fair outside. So again, thank you very much for coming, Mark.
Thank you very much, Christy. Before we get started, could I just remind everybody maybe to silence your electronic devices, if you don't mind. To give you an idea of how we're going to flow this afternoon, I'm going to introduce our 7 panelists with just name and title, and then I'm going to turn it over to them, and they're going to have about 4 or 5 minutes per person just to provide an overview of their area. It's fairly open-ended. They could talk about specific initiatives that they're working on, or just an overview of what their sphere of influence is all about. Once we do that, we'll be at about 3:45, and then I'm going to open it up to all of you for your questions. So please start thinking about what questions you would like to ask. And I'm watching Archie over here. Who is it that say I'd never work with animals or dogs? Yeah. He's turning on the cute, so there we go. So our panelists, we have Dr. Bruce Jarrell, who is our interim president. We have Dr. Roger Ward, our interim provost, executive vice president, and dean of the graduate school. Dawn Rhodes is our chief business and finance officer and vice president. Chief Alice Carey, who is our chief of police. Matt Lasecki, associate vice president, chief human resources officer. Dr. Joshua Abzug, associate professor in the School of Medicine and president of the Faculty Senate, and Christy Novak, assistant director of graduate clinical placements in the School of Nursing and president of the Staff Senate. With that, I'd like to turn it over to Dr. Jarrell.
Thank you, Mark.
Certainly.
It's a great pleasure to be here, and I'm pleased to say that I must know a third to a half of you in this room, and I thank you for that. But I also hope that at the end of the year, I'll know all of you in this room. And Christy and Josh, you've done a really good thing here. I want to compliment you on this because it's a great event just from the turnout. A couple of weeks ago, I got this email in my office from a staff member in the School of Dentistry, Ms. Suzanne Burgee, and she was offering her assistance and help with our emergency management team. And I thought that email was just spectacular because it was unsolicited. here was a staff member in our university volunteering to help out with a really important topic. And it just drove home to me how wonderful the environment is here for people to participate in our many programs. And so I think in giving you a summary of what I think is important, the first thing I want to say is teamwork. If you think leadership is here to have all the answers, you're wrong. We're here to listen to your good ideas, to be part of this team, and to guide us in terms of how we can do a better job. Another thing that I would want to convey to you in this brief time is also about President Perman's initiatives. You all know them. I don't need to reiterate them. Across the street, in community and IPE, et cetera. Those things are exceedingly important to me to continue as well. And I know many of you are involved in those programs. So as a team, again, I want to urge you all to participate in those programs with us, as I will be doing. It's nice to see many things happen on this campus, and that's certainly been one of the most important things that I think has occurred. The other thing that I want to mention to you briefly is that when I look in, we've got great schools and we've got now great community engagement, but there are areas that I hope we work on together. And I'm going to put those as internal priorities to make this environment better. For example, shared governance is one of them, and you're seeing now an example of how shared governance is important to you, and it's important to me, and I hope you will continue that. Another thing that's important is the many equities that we need to establish in this institution to make everyone sitting in this room, frankly, everyone sitting in this university, to feel like they're included in processes, that they have a say, that their opinion is important, and that they roll up their sleeves to help us make that happen. So again, I want to emphasize on teamwork. The last thing I want to say is that I want to hear your ideas. This is one way to hear your ideas. But Jennifer Lichman and I have been planning, and we hope to start soon. And MJ, too, he's sitting there in the front row and going to help me with this. We want to have office hours. By that I mean we want to have the president of this university, perhaps other senior officers, have office hours sitting in the, I hope, the first floor of the library. There we are, MJ, we're committed, okay? And pick a couple of hours every week to have just an open door for people to walk in and talk about a topic and have a conversation. It's not a lecture, it's a listening session. Now, I don't mind telling you, it's got to be constructive to be useful, but I'll be listening. I'll also be listening to the solutions that you have. So you'll be seeing more of this, I hope, in the next couple of weeks as to when we're going to start this. And really, literally, the idea is I'm going to be sitting there. If you leave me by myself, I will be very disappointed. Okay, so, and I mean this for everybody. It really is going to be an open session. And I'm hoping that other people will join me. I saw Dean Kersling walk in. Where's Jane? There's Jane. I saw Dean Barth walk in. Are there any other deans in here? Well, Dean Roger Ward, too. Don't let me forget him. I'm hoping that these people, plus other senior leaders, will periodically join with me to have these conversations and to have an open dialogue about the future. So I want to invite you to do that. So I think my message to you is simple in the 3 to 5 minutes that Christy gave me, that it's about team, and you're part of the team, and I'm part of the team, and I want to play with you. I want you to continue to help us with our community engagement, and other initiatives have been started. And lastly, I want to hear from you sitting over there in the library. So when you walk in, you'll have to look around because most people don't go into that rotunda. But I'll be sitting in there, and if you don't come, I'll have to be reading Harry Potter or somebody like that. But that's who I'll be reading. And I just invite you to be there and look forward to seeing you. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Jarrell. Now, Dr. Roger Ward.
Thanks, Mark. Good afternoon. I have to get used to this new dean title. And remember that every time I say very nice things about the deans, which I always do, remember that I'm also talking about myself. But I want to talk this afternoon from the perspective of the role of the provost. I'm the interim provost, and I'm following Bruce Gerald, who established that role for the university about 3 years ago. Unlike many institutions, this just is a little bit of institutional history. UMB did not have an official office of the provost until about 2-3 years ago, Bruce. What we had was the title of Vice President for Academic Affairs. Melinda Orlin, who hired me, was the longtime VP for Academic Affairs, and when she retired, I had the title for a little bit. But when Bruce came over from the School of Medicine, he didn't come into the role of the provost. He came into what was the Chief Academic and Research Officer. And then as we began to collaborate more closely because of the Empower partnership with College Park, and our standing as an institution continued to grow, Dr. Perman recognized the importance of establishing the office of the provost. And so that office was established, and Bruce did a very, very good job establishing the office. The office is distinctive here in how office of the provost function at other institutions, in that at other institutions, the traditional institutions, the deans report to the provost. That is not the case here. The deans report to the president, reported to the president before the office was created, and continued to report to the president after the office was created. And when we created that office, it was clear that the role of the office, which is what I'm hoping to continue, is to add value to the schools and the leadership in the schools in helping the institution execute on its mission. The schools and the deans, because of how we organize here, have their own accreditation to deal with and set the academic agenda for their schools. The role of the Office of the Provost is, again, to add value. And from my perspective, we can add value in 3 specific areas. Create an environment where teaching and learning, there's excellence in teaching and learning, given the shifting demographics and the way students this generation want to be educated, contributing to that and helping the schools to get to a place that makes sense for them in that regard. Promoting inclusive excellence, and by that we mean making sure that we have as diverse a community in every way possible across faculty, staff, and students, so that as an institution we could continue to excel and be excellent, because we know that the research literature and everything else tells us that institutions achieve the most they can when there is inclusive excellence, when there is a diversity of thought, leadership, perspectives, and so on. So we're very committed to that. And then, of course, what I call institutional effectiveness. One of the roles that I had before I was in this role and continue to have now is being responsible for institutional effectiveness. And what does that mean? It means that when Middle States, our main accreditor at the university level, comes in, that we could demonstrate that we are a well-run, well-organized, effective institution at executing on our mission. And that for us is very, very important. And we work collaboratively with all the schools and our academic programs and our academic partners to make sure that that is the case. And we rely on faculty and staff in particular to make sure that that is the case, because a lot of those activities that we get assessed on are managed at every level of the organization, not by anyone up here, but by you folks sitting out there. So it is our responsibility to make sure that we're providing the support infrastructure to allow you to excel in those roles so that we could achieve the level of institutional effectiveness that we aspire to, not because an accreditor says we should aspire to it, because it is important to us for, again, executing on our mission and vision. I have limited time, so I'll stop there, but I'm happy to answer any questions relative to anything that I've said or anything I may have not touched on that you have an interest in. Thank you.
Thank you so much. By the way, I believe we still have some empty chairs, so if we could do the raising of the hand one more time if you have a chair next to you. If some of the folks standing on the wall want to grab one of those empty seats, please. Thank you, Ashley. I appreciate that. Up next, Dawn Rhodes.
So you will be getting notification today. You will see things in the Elm. You will see things on the e-boards. So just want to make sure that if you ride the bus, you're aware that for faculty and staff, there will be a fee. This one is about our North Campus Master Plan, and I do need the pointer. So just to orient people, the very top of the map is Saratoga. The very bottom here is Fayette. It's not. You got Pine Street, and then you have Green Street. So in the upper right-hand corner, where you see that white arrow, there used to be a building there that one time fell into the streets. It was a bunch of sticks. We actually procured that property. It is now no longer there. We're working on creating, developing that area for an interim plan. So you will see changes going on in that corner. Here is Club Buns. Thank you. We own every other building except for Club Buns. Do I press the top button? Okay. Yeah, because I'm not tall enough. So we own every last building except for Club Buns, but we're very, very close to securing that. I'm hoping in the month of February we will. And once that's done, that whole big triangle or big rectangle will be a potential site for future development. The same thing when you look at Hope Lodge. We're in the process with the Heart Association of trying to purchase that building, in which case we'll have another whole block that will be a building site. And we already own the Ronald McDonald House. We also own, we're in the process of finishing procuring the last two properties in that area. So we are developing a lot of what we call land bank space that will allow us to do many things in the future in terms of site development. We want the energy that's on this end of campus to also be on the other side of campus. So just keep an eye out for what goes on there. I anticipate in the next 12 to 18 months we'll be involving a developer to see what we can do about really developing those areas. Next slide. As many of you know, we went live with Quantum October 2nd. We had over 800 users as of the end of December. In terms of help desk tickets, we had about 1,200 of those, of which 1,000 have been closed out. We still have 163 out there. We got different reports that people needed as we went along the way. I hope things are getting better in your areas. The most important thing on this slide is training is ongoing. You will continue to see it there, and please, please, please don't hesitate to contact the help desk. Don't hesitate to contact our trainers. Contact each other, because people are learning within their departments how to do things also. Next slide. Our FY20 budget process and 21. So you should have gotten, you did get, the 1% increase in your Friday check that was actually retroactive to the beginning of the year. We are also, as we build fiscal year 21 budget, going to have to absorb a cut that we received early in fiscal year 20 from the state in our state appropriation of 1.7 million. So I'm not going to read these dates up here. I think the most important thing to know is that it's not over till it's over. The governor's budget came out on the 15th. They gave the system a 3.7% increase, which was like around $55 million. But it still has to go through the General Assembly, which includes the House and the Senate. And we will see the end of May what we actually get from the state through this budget process. What I wouldn't be surprised, and the best way to characterize the state budget, is there are a lot of top priorities and a little money. The current commission is $2.8 billion by itself. So we will just have to wait and see. I anticipate for the last 2 years, Scott can correct me, as we get into the new fiscal year around the fall, we usually get knock, knock, we're going to do a budget cut. So we'll see what happens. SPAC is the office for calculating our fringe rate, and they have done that assessment, and I anticipate later this week we'll be rolling out what the new fringe rate number is. That would be effective July 1 for fiscal year 21. Also, for those of you who are involved with grants and research, we anticipated looking at our F&A rate and changing it. So that means what year do we use as our base for that calculation? Fiscal year 19, fiscal year 20, you're on two different systems. So after doing an analysis and looking through things, we're really going to be asking for an extension until 21, which would allow us to continue the fringe rate, if approved, at 54.5% through fiscal year 22. So we will update people as we have answers back on that request. Jean Graciano is probably not in the room. I'm not seeing a hand. She was made executive director over design and construction procurement. If anyone has worked on a construction project, you may know the significance of that change. I'm excited about where we're headed with this, and I think we will see speed added to the construction process to a large degree for several reasons. High school mentorship for girls. Naz Falati is the AVP in facilities and operations, typically a male field. She has developed a group of 11 women in her department that are in typical male role models. And they're going to be working with CEC to go to high schools and work with students, high school girls, to let them know these are the jobs that you can have. And yeah, you can make a lot of money doing them. So they're looking forward to getting that off the ground. And I want to thank Ashley for partnering with them. In environmental services, they are doing behavior traits and coming up with what does good customer service look like. And that's going to be frontline and managers to help people have a better experience as they engage with environmental services. And then going back to the construction, any project manager that we hire in design and construction, any new ones, will be required to have their project management certification or get it within 12 months. And we're also providing classes for our existing project managers to go to and learn more about project management. That will also help projects go through the process faster. Emergency management. Our campus emergency management operations plan was completed, and it's been signed off by senior leadership. The draft crisis communication plan, which is being done in conjunction with Laura's office, is in progress. Is Laura? Cathcart, the other Laura. So we have also hired, you can stand up. So Bruce opened with a call from a faculty member who wanted to know about training. And great minds think alike, because John Brad had already hired Laura, and her role will be to develop those programs and conduct the exercises. So look forward to hearing more from Laura. And then our annual campus hazard review will happen in the spring, and it's where we go through and we identify where is our vulnerabilities and what are we doing to address those vulnerabilities. And go to the next page, please. Public safety, we are joining partnership with the medical center to hire 3 additional securities officers whose jobs will be to be outside, to be a foot patrol and walk campus. And we expect to have that group fully employed by the end of June. 30. I'm going to skip this. We can share because I'm getting the wrap it up sign. 34 employees have gone through Live Near Your Work. We have 5 more in the pipeline, so that's awesome. Community engagement, the building is still on schedule for this year. Exciting, it's actually here. Next slide. Smoking committee, A lot of people worked on developing the recommendations. Next slide. That are going to cover policy, where people smoke. Do we need more of those places? Do we need better signage so that better direction for people so that they know where to go? There's going to be learning modules about what resources are available to you, succession planning, etc. We're going to have a web page, and we're also working to have those new foot patrol security officers try to help enforce by getting people to go to the right places to smoke. MJIC, which is a longer story, and I'm going to wrap this up, but can I put this presentation somewhere where people can see it? Okay, so we'll share that, okay?
Thank you. Just a water for you. Thank you so much. Chief Alice Carey. And Archie. Hi.
He should be fine. Well, I just wanted to give you a few updates that public safety is leading and getting some things going so that we can be better informed. And that's the CAD system, which is a computer-aided dispatch system. This is an innovative system that eventually is going to be able to connect with Baltimore City Police Department. So what that means is that we could probably get the information that we need in real time. So today at 2 o'clock, this system went live. So there's going to be a few bugs that we work out through the system. But in the long run, the goal is to have the same system with this new system to connect with the city directly so that our information sharing is going to be instantaneous. And that's going to be a world of difference for safety here. So that's in talks, and that's going to take a little bit of time before we get that connectivity. But Baltimore City is actually on board with this, which is really actually very nice to have. But at any rate, with that, our officers are now carrying new radios. These radios, too, they will be able to scan the central district, the southern, the western, where we surround, so that we know what's going on within our area. Currently, our dispatchers have a portable radio, one single radio in their dispatch room to listen to it. So that's how a lot of the information is not caught, because our dispatchers are multitasking. They're watching video cameras, they're listening to our current dispatch systems. But with this new CAD system, computer-aided dispatch system, and the new portable radios, we should be getting the information in real time. So that's something that I'm pretty proud of my team in working in and getting this implemented. And as VP Rhodes stated, we are hiring 30 additional security officers. So you're going to see the visibility, you're going to have extra eyes and ears, you're going to have this extra tool out there. If you need something, you're going to see an officer, I guarantee it, in just about every corner. So we're working on our deployment plan, where we're going to put our resources, and those are going to change too as our data-driven information comes in and we can deploy these people in different areas. So that, what they call predictive policing. So when suspects or people who are wanted to pick on vulnerable people, they won't know exactly where an officer is standing here. So I know that when that officer is off shift, then I can attack somebody or steal something that they would like to. Archie, so he kind of interrupts really good presentations, I'm sure. So with that, hopefully we've got the first batch of security hiring going. We're in the process of interviewing. So if you know anyone that'd like to take advantage of this new hiring system and these new positions, let us know, because you're the greatest recruitment, as well as anybody in this room or outside this campus that can bring people in for these good jobs. The Safe Ride app, we rolled that out in the fall. There's going to be a couple bugs in that, but that's something that I think it's really lowered our wait times. And so that I think it's been very, very helpful. And we've had some really good feedback from people on this app as we continue to, to grow it, to be consistent with it. And then we really want to focus on our Safe Walk program, which is a lot of times it's not utilized here on campus. There's a difference. The Safe Walk doesn't mean an officer is necessarily going to walk you, but they will pick you up in a patrol car, or a security officer will take you from point A to point B. And that kind of segues me into the student hiring. So I'm hopeful to get some students hired that can help us with the Safe Walk program. They're extra eyes and ears as well, and possibly have them watch our security monitors so that they can help out our dispatchers as well. So that's up and coming. And another good one is the Public Safety Advisory Committee, which is going to consist of faculty, staff, and students, and a community partner, so they can help us review our policies, see what's missing, and moving forward, so we could be the cutting edge agency, having the input on safety awareness and different initiatives that our public safety department should take in moving forward. And 100 North Green, this is another substation that we're going to occupy, especially once we get hiring our extra security officers. This will be like a substation where you'll see people in and out in uniform with security and police. So that's going to be an additional resource for us for our visibility and our ability to be available to you. And finally, the Comfort Canine program. As you, this is a wonderful program. There, this is the second dog, and thank you, VP Rhodes, for allowing us to add Archie, who's from the Bahamas, who is a survivor of Hurricane Dorian. So this little guy's been through a lot, and I know a lot of you know that he went missing for 4 days in Michigan. So in his short little life, this little guy brings so much heart and soul to anyone who needs, some comfort. But I got to tell you, since adding both dogs, there's agencies across this country that are looking towards us because of this program. And these dogs, bring so much just to, bring a smile to someone's face, just to relieve them of the day-to-day stresses. And, half the time they don't even know it. So he's crawling to the door saying, could you please pull up? But just one more thing, in working with Laura's shop, I really want to get out a campus newsletter from the chief so we can stay up to date, in a newsletter, what we're doing, what the crime trends are, what to look for, anything updated, along with our blue light phones, which we're currently working on updates. And we're researching visitor management systems for each building. So that technology piece is in working with our human component as far as law enforcement is really coming forward. So that's about it, and I'll wait for some Q&As, and I thank you for having me.
Thank you, Chief, and thank you, Officer Archie. Matt Lasecki, you have to follow the dog, madam. I'm sorry about that.
Good afternoon. I'm Matt Lasecki. I'm the Chief Human Resources Officer. Tell you a little bit about human resources. It's a very much an evolving function within higher education, and that's true of University of Maryland, Baltimore as well. At our core, human resources is here to help you as individuals and the organization overall meet our goals. That can take a variety of different roles. From one, about 3 years ago, we created the Office of Career Development, specifically focused on helping staff identify where their career is going and develop a pathway to get from where you are today to where you're going to be. It also takes the form of organizational development assistance and facilitation, and I'd like to recognize Mark, who is a member of my human resources team, for his work today. Thank you. So we're involved in a lot of places across campus that you don't necessarily see. Our evolution here on campus is from a policy interpretation and more of a transactional organization to one that is more solutions oriented. So instead of saying you can't, we're looking at trying to identify what the ultimate goal is and saying, well, maybe we can't do it this way, but maybe we can do it that way. Because at the end of the day, I really don't want anyone to get in trouble with the law or with anybody else, compliance or anything like that. So we're kind of balancing that. But again, we're focused on becoming a more solutions-oriented organization as a part of UMB. We do that through three kind of principles: attract, engage, and develop. Everything that we do can be boiled down into those three buckets. And essentially what that means is that we're trying to find the best people, however you're defining that, to join the UMB community. And once you get here, we're looking to help those people excel in whatever role, in whatever way they choose. Engaging folks in the work is important. Helping them develop towards the next position in their career is important. So we kind of look at it from a lens of attract, engage, and develop. Over the past year, we've worked in collaboration with just about every school. I think it is every school at this point, whether it's doing on-site learning, facilitating workshops and things like that, doing specific recruitment, whether that's job fairs or targeted placement of positions, engaging with other organizations to help place individuals in hard-to-fill positions, conflict resolution. We've actually got a team right now that's working on some labor relations, working with Fraternal Order of Police. So we're touching a lot of parts of the organization in different ways. In the coming year, we have a couple of focuses. One, actually two of them are very closely related to our core values initiatives that are going on. We have started a complete review of our PDP system. This is the annual performance review system for staff on campus. Best we can tell, it hasn't been reviewed in maybe 15 years. And so we started the process back in December, and our goal is to meet with numbers of key stakeholder groups, including the Staff Senate and the Faculty Senate, get all of this feedback, and then come back and figure out how do we make the system more efficient, more effective, and something that's actually useful to both the reviewer and the reviewee. Next, we're working to look at rewards and recognition across the university. This could be awards. This could also be rewards as simple as, I see Christy did a great job on this project last week, and I just say, Christy, thank you very much. That's it. So rewards and recognition span that entire space. From our last climate and engagement survey, we know that that is one of the areas that you all have said we need to do some improvement on. So there'll be more work coming on that. And then we've also recently initiated a review of our major human resources processes on campus. Most of these are the processes that we work on with payroll. We want to try and create some efficiencies in them, but also prepare for the potential of moving to a new HR system somewhere down the road. So it's a good time to take a look at all of that and make sure that we've got efficient systems before we start building them into another cloud-based system. So finally, I'd just like to say, as we move on this evolution, I invite all of you to come and check out Human Resources. If you haven't interacted with us, I hope we'll have the time to work together sometime in the coming year. Thank you.
Thank you, Matt. Dr. Abzug?
Good afternoon, everyone. And thank you for having me, and thank you for joining us for this event. And obviously, thank you to Christy for agreeing to share this event between faculty and staff. And maybe in the future, if we do it, we'll add the students as well. But potentially, at least for now, I think it's great to put all the employees of the university in one room and try and get everyone on the same page. To the faculty in the room, I want to thank you for allowing me the opportunity to represent you regarding Faculty Senate at the university level. When I joined this university about a decade ago, I had no idea what Faculty Senate was or even where I fit into the university role, particularly as a clinician. I think we all recognize, given the 7 schools on campus, we don't always have an opportunity such as this to be together and truly work together as a university. And we're very much, to some extent, in our own little worlds. And I didn't really understand where any of us as clinicians fell in the university hierarchy and the structure of the university, other than knowing I had some title as assistant professor or associate professor. But over the last now 5 years, I think I've been on Faculty Senate. That's really changed a lot for me personally. And I would encourage all of you, if you're not engaged with the Faculty Senate or from the Staff Senate, I want to speak for Christy, but to figure out more about where these senates fit in the hierarchy of the university. And with that said, I want to really thank Dr. Perman, who's now not here, but Drs. Jarrow and Dr. Ward, as well as Ms. Rhodes and Matt, Mr. Lasecki, because they've all been engaged with the Faculty Senate during my time over the last 5 years with the Faculty Senate. When we've asked them to come and speak to the Faculty Senate, they've done so without question. And Drs. Jarrow and Dr. Ward actually attend all of our Faculty Senate meetings on a monthly basis, as long as they're not out of town. And I personally meet with both of them regularly, representing the faculty of the university. So thank you to all of you, and Chief Carey, who now came back in the room as well. Thank you. I want you to know where the Faculty Senate has gone, and in my time, where it's come from. When I joined Faculty Senate, I felt it was a very passive group, and that we were getting lots of information, such as we're doing to you at this moment, which will change hopefully within the next 5 minutes, where you'll have the opportunity to talk to us, and not just necessarily have a passive interaction where information is being passed from higher up down to the rest of the university. And I felt that the Faculty Senate really needed an active engagement role. And as such, we've started forums. So those of you that may be aware, we actually had our first faculty-only forum with Dr. Perman in the spring and had a similar interaction as this. And then now we've gone to the next level, combining with the Staff Senate and making everything much more visible. Faculty are probably sick of seeing my email, but you've learned that we now have an email distribution list for Faculty Senate, which will allow us to be much more visible and allow someone that sits in my seat as the president of Faculty Senate to communicate with all the faculty, and hopefully all of you to be able to communicate back to the Faculty Senate. And we all have different structures in our schools on how we can get information back to Faculty Senate, but hopefully via those emails, you learned that you can email me directly, and I've had countless faculty email me directly with concerns or questions that I've been able to address either directly to them or bring back to the leadership of the university. As such, and being a more active organization in Faculty Senate and being engaged in shared governance, we've formally formed 5 committees this year. I'd like to just run through them so everyone is aware. First, we formed a committee looking at campus safety and security. And again, we brought issues via a task force that was present last year and looking at what the faculty was concerned about on campus with regard to campus safety and security. In addition to that, Chief Carey's been kind enough to actually meet with myself and our committee chairs on a monthly basis to discuss these concerns. Certainly today, we'll have the opportunity to talk to Chief Carey, but if you do have other concerns in the future, please bring them up to the Faculty Senate because we have direct communication with Chief Carey to address those concerns on campus. Secondly, we formed a committee that looks at research and surveys across campus. Hopefully everyone is aware of the Founders Week Awards, as well as the Shared Governance Survey, which will be hitting your inbox in the near future. So please try and address these surveys regularly. We try not to be burdensome with them, but we do have a committee that's dedicated to looking at applications for the various awards that are obviously very prestigious pertaining to the university level. We formed a committee dealing with human resources. The faculty felt that there were concerns regarding hiring staff, particularly when it comes to grants. And there is regular communication between that committee and Mr. Lasecki from Human Resources trying to improve processes surrounding hiring for grants in particular, as well as any other concerns that can be addressed from a human resources standpoint, understanding that pay comes from a state level, not necessarily directly from the university, but as when our concerns are present, we can address them with HR. And then we formed a community engagement committee. As we heard about the role of the university and our community and surrounding areas, we now have a dedicated community to work on that, not only at the campus level, but the community level as well. So hopefully everyone's familiar with I Heart UMB Day, which faculty and staff senates have co-sponsored for the past several years, and we'll continue to do that. We want to be beyond that, and we're looking at community engagement projects that are sponsored by staff and faculty senate, again, combining that joint effort from all of us that work at the university level, and not that faculty are separate from staff, and that we can all be engaged at the community level. And then lastly, we have an advocacy committee to address issues with concerns from faculty on campus that can be brought directly to Dr. Ward and Dr. Jarrow, and there was recently a concern brought by several faculty members, and I addressed that to them in a formal letter from my seat as Faculty Senate President, advocating for some changes on campus. But that committee also can deal with the state level and as well as the university level. And we have a subcommittee of our advocacy committee that deals with CUSIF, which is all of the university system from the University Systems of Maryland and representatives from all of the universities across the state. During this year, we've also developed 3 task forces. One, to look at our mission statement and make sure it's well aligned. I think we would all agree that the goal of a faculty senate is to represent the faculty of the university, but to put that in words and in writing, and we felt that that was important to do that, and we hope to accomplish that by the end of this year. We hope to have a long-term vision, at least a 5 to 10-year plan of where Faculty Senate will be going and moving in direction. And then we developed a task force to look at campus awareness, and I think we are obviously succeeding in that regard with regard to communication to the remainder of the faculty. Lastly, I've taken on 2 initiatives as my personal initiatives as president of the Faculty Senate. One being looking at the international efforts across campus. As many of you saw in that email, a very lengthy email regarding internationalization efforts and numerous responses, and I appreciate everyone answering a survey. Those survey results, I believe, have about 700 to 800 responses from faculty across campus regarding international activity, and is being compiled by the UMB Internationalization Office. And I now sit on the UMB Internationalization Committee, and we will have a strategic planning session actually with Dr. Ward next Friday, and I hope to be able to share those results with all of the faculty from the survey, as well as share the results of our strategic planning session with Dr. Ward to see where UMB is moving on a global scale. And then lastly, I had the initiative, and I feel that one area where we've been lacking has been engaging our faculty and retention of our faculty and bringing us to the next level. I think we would all agree that we don't want our faculty to use UMB ever as a stepping stone and just a CV builder to go to the next level at a higher institution. And as such, I've approached Drs. Jarrow and Ward regarding the starting of a UMB faculty leadership program, and I'll be meeting with Dr. Ward before our internationalization planning session next Friday to address this UMB faculty leadership program, again, to encourage all of our faculty that they can achieve leadership positions, ideally within our university, but if possible and necessary elsewhere. But our primary goal will be to develop our faculty and keep them right here at the university. So with all of that, thank you. Please feel free to approach me or email me at any time. And thank you again to Christy.
Thank you very much. And last but certainly not least, Christy Novak.
Me again. So before I get started, I would like to extend the warmest thank you to the University Life Committee for the Staff Senate. I warned you I was going to make you stand up. Please stand if you were part of that committee and helped with the planning. And also an equal shout out to Dr. Abzug. Again, the Staff Senate and the Faculty Senate have really had the opportunity to collaborate, with their co-sponsorship of this event. We've really been able to make it what we hope to. And you'll notice a lot of parallels in what we're doing, again, because we're both headed in the same direction of really trying to make UMB a great place to work, to live in the area, and to support our students. So, again, the individuals sitting at this table right here are those that we meet with consistently, and, whether we're raising topics, concerns that we've received from staff, whether we are advocating on staff behalf. Right now, we are working with Matt Lasecki about a question that we received about a leave bank and what options are available there. And so we're just researching what other schools are doing. We'll be meeting with Dr. Gerald tomorrow, the Executive Committee for the Staff Senate, just to kind of bring him up to speed on everything that we have going on and see where we can get his hand in assisting. We're working right now with Dawn Rhodes regarding some issues that were brought up regarding the environmental services and multi-trade staff, and just making sure that we have equal treatment and space available for them on campus. Working with Chief Carey just for some various safety issues around campus. Right now, we're working with them to create stickers for the blue light phones. So, you're in an emergency situation, you pick up that phone and they ask where you are. Your brain is not always going to know exactly where you are. So we're working on putting stickers on the phone so you could say, I'm at phone 3. We're also creating cards that at one point we had, many of us, I know Dean Kirschling, behind our cards here, but cards that have all of the police escort numbers, all of the direct UMB police force information. So again, if you're ever in that situation, which we certainly hope that nobody is, you have that information readily available. So these are some of the things that we do to advocate on behalf of staff. We certainly welcome everyone to all of our monthly meetings to come in and just kind of observe. And if you have any questions, take the information back to your colleagues. We absolutely welcome you. With that in mind, we are actually taking the show on the road. Typically, we meet monthly in the President's Boardroom in the Saratoga building, but with the interest of, again, just kind of getting out to meet with the people that we are representing, we're going to be holding our meetings at various locations across campus. So I'm going to run through them real quick. In February, we'll be in the School of Dentistry. In March, we'll be in the School of Law. In April, we'll be in the School of Pharmacy. In May, we will be at Social Work. And then in June, we'll actually be at the Campus Center. So nice central location. But, our doors are open, and we truly hope that anyone who would just like to hear about what we have going on or raise a concern can certainly come and do so. We, like Dr. Abzug and the Faculty Senate, we do have a community engagement group who just wrapped up a wonderful 2019. Through our Thanksgiving drive, we were able to feed 70 families in the West Baltimore community, including some families associated with our Cure Scholars. More recently, as we were holding the toy drive for Christmas, we had a request come in from a family who was having some problems paying their rent and were afraid that they would be kicked out of their home for the holidays. And so we were able to use some of the community funds that we had received to help that family stay in their home. And then throughout the year, we also do VA drives, toy drives, school supply drives. I'm sure you're always seeing the flyers come out about the drives. But again, we really are an important part of this West Baltimore community. And I really hope that, everyone can kind of see our vision in treating those community members the same. A couple other things I'll mention, and then I definitely want to make sure that we have time for questions. Certainly, you can see there's been a lot of information shared, so I can only imagine. With the Board of Regents Awards coming up, which is, again, a very prestigious award that actually comes out of the university system for the state, our Board of Regents Committee is sending 7 nominees off for this term, which is a huge number. If you knew the amount of work that went into this, it's quite impressive. But they took a really targeted approach to make sure that we're targeting employees of the month and individuals who had received other accolades who we really knew would be good runners, because at the end of the day, I'm super competitive. I want a winner from UMB. So I'd really like to applaud our Board of Regents Committee. I'd also like to give a quick shout out to Mary Beth Gallego. You can stand or raise your hand, whichever you'd like to do. But Mary Beth chairs the civility campaign here at UMB. So I hope that, again, you've seen some of the banners and the stickers around just outlining what civility means to us. At the end of the day, we are all human beings. We are all here to either work or learn, and everyone needs to be treated justly, regardless of whether you're faculty, staff, student, what your position is, what your title is. It does not matter. Everyone's a human being, deserves a smile, a please, a thank you, and it's something that we're really trying to ring true. And I don't want to say change the culture, but that really is the culture that we want to create. I feel a lot of us are already really good at doing this. Some of us on our bad days, maybe not so good. So, I'd really like to get everyone there. And then the last thing that I will mention that Dr. Abzug mentioned as well is that, we've done a really good job collaborating over the last year and a half. What we need to do next is bring the students into it. If we are truly practicing shared governance, we need to make sure that our students also have representation at our monthly meetings, that we're able to go to their monthly meetings, and vice versa. And the reason that we didn't include them in this event is because we really wanted to first focus on some faculty and staff related topics and issues. So I hope for future events we will be able to bring the students in a little bit more and really, work together as the community that we are. So I will go ahead and end there. I know Mark's going to come back up and we'll open it for Q&A and then go out to the resource fair. So
Thank you.
there we go.
Okay. Thank you very much, Christy. Okay, folks, it is actually your turn. And if anyone has a question, and I hope you do, please raise your hand. And Christina is standing over there with a microphone that she can bring to you. And our panelists, I think you have 3 or 4 mics on the table. If you wouldn't mind sharing those. If you have a question, raise your hand. And if you wouldn't mind, just introduce yourself quickly and direct your question to a specific panelist if possible. Okay? Don't be shy. Anybody? All right, I'll start with one. So the staff said it thought this might happen, so they kind of prepped me with some possible questions in advance.
I thought we were all such good speakers that we answered all their questions ahead of time.
You were absolutely correct. I know. There were a couple floating into my head. I thought, oh, Vice President Rhodes just talked about that. Darn, I can't ask it. I was going to do one follow-up to Vice President Rhodes because one of the questions was regarding live near your work, and specifically, have you considered expanding it to other neighborhoods?
Yes, we have. And we actually have the application process out to 4 neighborhoods at this point. Those applications are due back on the February 15th, I believe. They would be neighborhoods that are more to the northwest of campus, but still fairly close. And so far, we've only had one ask us a question so that we know they're actively engaged in the process. So hopefully, we'll have at least one more neighborhood participate.
Thank you very
We'll
much.
keep you posted.
Thank you. All right, anybody ready with a question? Oh, we have one back here. Thank you so much.
I also have a question for VP Rhodes. It's about the shuttle service and the change for staff. My understanding is that shuttle riders may bring a guest, and so once the change is in effect where our staff have to pay, are we still allowed to bring a guest, and do they have to pay also, or do they get to ride for free?
I can see the top of Robert's head, so I'm waiting for him to say yes or no.
So in the beginning, we're going to hold off on the guest until we can get a ticket policy. If we can implement that in time, we will. But we have to come up with a secondary policy so that we make sure that the people are true official guests when they're riding the shuttle. But if you want afterwards, stop by our table. We'll take your name and we'll email you any information we have.
Thank you. Another one. Oh, Christy, right up here in front. Oh, we have one there and then one up here.
Hi, my name is Wu Qingxia. I'm the director of the electron microscopy core facility. And my facility works with students and postdocs from UMBC, Yale College Park, and many other campuses around Baltimore. But so that means some of the resources, we all have different capabilities. And so is there any ways that we can kind of consolidate or form a consortium for all these shared facility to serve all the investigators among the U Maryland system? And the other question I have is, because I do serve of many users come to my facility, they come from different campuses. And one of the little problems for them is parking. So a lot of them, the student postdoc, they have to pay parking out of their own pocket. So kind of is a prohibition for them when they want to come here. And sometimes they will call us to go meet them downstairs because they cannot find parking. So I'm wondering if there's any way for us to have a kind of a parking area for intercampus permits that anybody can come to park and really kind of facilitate the intercampus collaboration.
Where was Robert Milner? The question is twofold. One is about the use of core resources at UMB and they're being accessible to faculty, staff, or students from other USM campuses or maybe broader. The second relates to parking. Now, parking, I'm not going to touch. Okay. No, seriously. Well, Dawn will have something to add on that, but we do pay a lot of attention to that for students and postdocs. I'll tell you that I don't have a formal answer, but I will tell you from the Empower point of view, Adrian Arthur, who's sitting here in the front, and I have gone over this multiple times to try to accommodate at least the students from College Park. So that is something where we have a fairly good track record on. In terms of shared resources, I would limit my answer in 2 ways. First of all, we do have shared instrument grants among 3 universities, UMBC, College Park, and UMB, particularly at IBBR at Shady Grove. That has been very successful, a lot of going back and forth between institutions. Now, there was an effort, and I guess Nick Ambulos is not here. Nick, you here? So Nick heads that whole core facility from the School of Medicine point of view, which is most of the core resources. And I guess I would have to turf it to Nick eventually to come up with with what the charges are and how to do that, et cetera. It's an important issue. You are right. I don't have a ready solution, but I'll find Nick and we'll find out what we can do. And Dawn, did you have something to add on the parking?
We can have a further discussion about it. But one thing that the department should always know, if you have a guest coming to campus, the department can always pay for parking and extend that courtesy to their guests. In terms of other students who want to come to campus and creating space for visitors, we'll have a conversation about it. We have a high occupancy and turnover, high occupancy utilization of our parking. So we never want to have parking that's coordinated for people and not have it being used as much as it can be. So that's something to consider.
Thank you.
Let me add one
please.
other thing. The purpose of dialogue is to keep issues at the front of our mind. So even if I don't have an answer, it'll be at the front of my mind, and there will be discussions along the way about how you might get at some of these difficult issues, and they have been difficult. And so I think my pledge to you is not necessarily to solve the problem, but to look for solutions to the problem.
Thank you. I think we had a question right up here up front.
This is for Officer Carey. I know that you had mentioned that you're looking to build some like extra hubs or more visual presence for your police force. And I was wondering if, I know that there's like a satellite office on Penn and Paca streets, and I wasn't sure if that office was still being utilized. I don't think it is, but are you looking to like reopen that?
It is open. Currently we have 2 officers stationed out of that, and they're our foot patrol. One has Lexi, our other comfort dog, so they operate out of that Penn station. So, in moving forward, having a satellite office on 100 North Green and down there in Penn, and then across in the biopark, and then our headquarters. So we have each quadrant of the campus covered. So in moving forward, and once we get our patrol strategy allocation done, you'll probably see more people out of that Penn Street substation, in addition to our 30 security officers that we're going to deploy out too. So that'll be a hub as well.
Thank you. Another one. Dean Barth.
So following up on that, we have about 70 employees down by the light rail and would really like to see coverage, maybe with your expanded security force, to the light rail, so that when people are getting off the light rail, coming onto the campus, or going to the light rail, they're protected, which would also then help us cover the area that our Institute for Innovation and Implementation is in. Is there a chance of that?
Well, it's always a work in progress, so we could certainly take the times of people coming in and times that people leave, in the morning, the hub portions of people, coming in onto campus into, our patrol allocations. So that's certainly something we can review in moving forward. We have a preliminary plan of a deployment, but that's always subject to change.
Let me add about the security officers. This is a partnership with the medical center. So we're splitting the cost half and half. So the deployment of the 30 security officers will be a joint solution that's arrived at. So just wanted to add that.
Thank you. Next question. Yes, Elisa. Christina's bringing the mic.
Is for Dr. Ward. I was curious if you could share with us the utilization of the Ombuds office. What are some of the typical issues that are addressed and the effectiveness of the office?
So for those of you who may not know, the Ombuds office is the office at UMB that's charged with helping faculty and staff, and on occasion students, find solutions to issues that they may be dealing with. It's an office that reports into me. It is not affiliated with the HR, and it's a standalone resource for, again, faculty, staff, and on occasion students here at the university. And the role of the ombudsperson is to take complaints, be a neutral person in helping direct the individual to the appropriate office or resources that might help them resolve the issue. It's confidential in the sense that the ombuds, unless there is a obligation to report an issue, holds that information private. And so you do have the ability to go and speak privately with the ombuds, who will then direct you to the appropriate place for help, and or consult with the appropriate office as to how someone should be directed for assistance. I see Brian was here. I could ask Brian to talk a little bit about where most of his business comes from in terms of, and the types of issues that come up and that he receives as the ombudsperson, and where he's located, because that might be another bit of information people may not have. Brian?
So, Dr. Ward, just for the sake of time, I'm going to cut you off. Not that we do not want you to tell us what you do. However, Brian has a table out at the resource fair, and so anyone interested in more information about the Ombuds office can go visit him at the table and maybe get a little bit more information and ask some one-on-one questions there. Does that sound good, Brian? I don't want to take away your 5 minutes fame. Good? Okay.
Okay, I'm looking at the time. It's about 4:16, maybe a couple of more questions, and then we'll wrap and go to the resource fair. Yes.
Hi, I'm Everly Brown at the Health Sciences Library, and I was curious about the plans for the north end of campus when we've acquired those buildings. Is there any plan for a green space, like somewhere like in the front of the School of Nursing? It's can be such a noisy place to work that I would like to find somewhere peaceful.
So we don't consider the nursing school to be on the north end of campus. But I cannot recall all of the places that we did put in our overall master plan to develop green space, because that was truly a focus of softening the campus's edges by putting green space in place. So I will refer you to our website for the campus master plan, and you'll be able to see everything that we planned in there, including bike lanes and streetways and everything that's in there in terms of buildings. Would that work? Okay, thank you.
Thank you. One more question. All right, I'm going to throw one at Matt. So this was one of the ones that was submitted online, so I thought I'd give him an opportunity to respond. Can you explain the timing and process of how decisions are made about COLA and merit increases? Yeah. You don't want to see my PDP this spring. That's just, yeah. Is there anything that staff can do to help advocate for these increases?
So Mark does work. Mark does work for human resources. There we go. Can you hear me? Okay. We are state employees, and that's the bottom line. So the process, I'll get through the process in a couple seconds and then explain what we can do. How increases are determined for us go through the state budget system, and that is through the governor's office as well as through the state legislature. What we can do differently, or what we can do and continue to do, is work through our legislative offices, our legislative representatives, to advocate on your behalf for increases for USM. We're treated as one entity as far as the governor is concerned. But it is a part of the legislative process and the budget process, so it is very dependent upon what the state approves for us.
Okay, thank you. All right, last call. All right. Oh, yes.
Chief Carey, how can people arrange for Archie and Lexi to come visit them?
Oh, good question.
There is a website and on Lexi's cards, when we hand out the cards, there's an email address for the request. And then on our website, there's a request, and it'll have either requesting Lexi or Archie or both at the event. So my assistant will certainly reach out to you and calendar that. So pending on my meeting schedule and whatsoever, but Archie and I'd love to come see you.
Thank you.
And for anyone who has not done this before, I can tell you the School of Nursing is wonderful at bringing them in around midterm and finals time. because you can just see the stress melt off the students' faces. And so it truly is an amazing resource. And I encourage everyone to use it, not just for that. If you have staff and faculty who are having a bad day and want to see a fluffy puppy, I mean, so.
And Officer Lexi is also joining us at onboarding every other Monday, so our new employees get to meet her instantly, which is really nice. We have 2 more front row questions, one over here on the left first, my left.
Yes, a follow-up to Matt. Do you have any idea what may be proposed in the current budget as far as merit and COLA for us?
Yeah, so I can't remember the dates offhand, but there was an announcement that came out from the governor's office about increases, I believe a COLA on 1/1 of 2021, but I don't remember the exact amount of what that is. So it's already projected out. Beyond that, I don't have. 2%. 2%, correct.
Not until January.
Not
We
until-
need to know it for budgeting purposes, for proposals and grant applications and
Sure.
report.
Yeah. So 1/1 of 2021, there is a 2% budget projected, or 2% COLA projected.
Right, thanks.
Thank you. And Jessica, last question?
Can I just?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Just, I know we need it for budget and planning purposes, but we won't know for sure whether that stays in the budget until the budget is passed by the legislature sometime in April.
Thank you. Jessica?
I just had a follow-up question for Chief Carey. Who takes the puppies home at night? You do?
I take Archie home, and J.R. Jones, Corporal Jones, takes Lexi home.
What a nice way to end our town hall. So,
Jessica.